Hello, welcome back to the Sapachat Scripts. So today we'll learn about one more important topic in Java, that is exception handling. Let me start. What is exceptions? So exception handling is a mechanism in Java to handle runtime errors so that normal flow of the program can be maintained. Because if we are not going to handle this kind of exceptions, the program will be terminated from there. That's why we need to handle the exception. Exceptions are the issues that occurs during the runtime. So as you can see, an exception is an unwanted and unexpected event that occurs during the program execution or runtime that disturbing the normal flow. Now, for example, if you're running a program like mathematical calculations and you're dividing something from by zero, that means this is not possible because it's undefined. You cannot divide anything by zero. Suppose 10 divided by zero, so it is not a correct. So in this case, we'll have the arithmetic exception. If we are not handle this exception, program will terminate by itself. And then we have array index, invalid array index. Like if you have created an array with a size 2, but you wanted to access 3, then it will throw a array out of bound access exception. So then our program will terminate from here. And that means a file not found. If you wanted to reach a file during the runtime, but file is not available there, so file not found exception will be there and program will terminate from there. So this is a hierarchy of the exception class. Throwable is a class, is the parent class of exception. So throwable will have two classes. One is exception, another is error. So let me clarify the difference between exception and error. So exception we already know that is occur during the runtime. It can be divided by zero, logical issues, file not found, this kind of exception. But error is that is a serious problem. Like this is out of memory error that is comes from your due to your system, not a program, and that is not handled by program usually, because if your memory out of memory error from your system, your laptop, that you cannot handle by a program. So this called memory, that oh sorry, error, that you cannot handle by a program. Now exception has two types. First is runtime, second is called compile time. Runtime is we called uncached exception, compile time we called cached exception. And you can say uh, so runtime exception is like those exceptions that compiler cannot understand, like file not found exception, because at the compile time, program is not able to see your file is available or not. But divided by zero, during the compile time, program can understand. Okay, this might be cause issues. Like if you are going to divide two values, then it might be through arithmetic exception, because if you are dividing to some value from zero, then it will be arithmetic exception. So this is the basic thing. This is the kind of hierarchy how exception is going on in Java. Now, how to handle these exceptions? So with the help of these five keywords, we can access first try, then catch, finally throw and throws. These five keywords we have to handle these exceptions. Now let's start one by one. Try is used to wrap code that may throw an exception. So try, in the try block, we keep the code where we think the exception will occur. Like here, we have write a code int a equal 10 divided by 0, because we know it can occur an exception. Now catch handles the exception. So in the try, you will handle the exception, but in the catch, you will uh, accept those exceptions. So now here in the, you can say, and catch always work with try. This is the main thing that you have to remember. Alone catch cannot work. So try, as we have written try here, and then we have written catch exception, arithmetic exception, and route cannot divided by 0. So if we are not doing this here, then it will throw an error arithmetic exception and program will terminate from there. But now program will not terminate and output would be cannot divide by 0. Then finally is like if your program go try and catch, but it is not handled in catch as well, then execute always with exception occurs or not. This is not like if your program giving the exception, finally will work. If not, then also work. Finally means always work. So this finally always runs. This is not dependent on exception occur or not. Then throw is a keyword. Then we used to explicitly throw an exception. So whenever we wanted to give an exception to user, like okay, in this situation, if you have tried this, then you'll get an exception. So in case we use throw. Okay, and throws is a declares exception that method throw. If you have a method like read file and throw IO exception. IO exception is input output exception. So this will handled or declare by the throws. So this is the basic 5 things in exceptions. Now this is the all about exception handling theoretically. Let's discuss this programmatically. So as we have discussed, let's start with try catch. As you can see here, in a try catch class, we have written a int result 10 divided by 0. Then we know this is risky because it will not work, and we print output. Okay, let me do one thing before handle this directly. Let me comment it out first. We make sure without exception how it will work. Sorry, yeah, without exception handling how it will work. Okay, let me execute now. So we will get. Now let me copy this as well to make sure your program is not going to continue. It will terminate from there. Okay, let me execute again. So as you can see here, each program is giving arithmetic exception divided by 0, and it is not coming to this program continues part. Okay, so that's why we used exception handling to continue our program rather than exit. So this is terminate here. Now let me do one thing. Let me handle this as we have already handled. Now if you execute this, then you will see you will get this error and program will continues. So here you can see error cannot divide by 0 and program continues. So program will not terminate here. Now what happened? In try, we have written a code throw exception, and catch, we caught that exception and give the output to user. Okay, your numbers is not divisible. Then program continues. Program continues means your rest of the program will continue accordingly. So this is the example of try catch. Now let's come to the throw. Throw is exception that we already know, like whenever we create as per our requirement. So here we have a age 15, and if your age is less than 18, then we are going to throw an exception, that is arithmetic exception, exception name arithmetic exception, and not eligible to vote. Else you can vote. So if I execute this, then you will see your output. Your output is this still giving a proper exception. So because this, as you can see, this exception is not written in the Java. This is we have already created as per our requirement. So that's how you can create exceptions in Java. Now throws. Throws exception is work based on methods. Here you can see we have written a method read file and file reader with the file to read a file in Java, and file reader, then we wanted to just read a file and close file. So, but input output exception. It check if file is available or not in the path. If file is not there, it will throw a file not found exception. So this exception now, rather than like we did here try and catch, what we are doing, we are just throwing this exception over the method. So whenever we trying to handle this method, we need to try catch. We need to handle this method. So rather than handling here in the method, this will handle whenever method will called. So now here you can see in main method we have called read file, and then we have handle here try and catch. Catch IO exception and file not found or error reading file. So that's how we can use throws keyword to throw an exception over the method. If you execute this, let me execute this file. Actually, I have executed through one. So you can see file not found or error reading exception. Okay, if you don't read the exception, like if you are not going to give message like this, then you will get this kind of message from exception. As you can see, e.print stack, you can exactly print. Okay, so this is the exact exception. So the txt file system cannot find a specified why this is like this, but this is users can not understandable like in the technical part. That's why we handle exception and print a message that user can understand, like this file not found error hand reading file. This is a user readable and it's not giving a error. This is just message and continue the program. So this is all about exception handling. If you have any doubt, anything, please let me know.